Hello, and welcome to our latest episode of What's on the Horizon. I'm Lori Sharonbrack here with Chris Schucker of Digital Horizons, and I want to talk TVs today. We've done some really cool install videos that you should totally check out about the different mounts and the ways that you can put a TV in. You could do it basic, you can do it extravagant, but there is, I'm sure, a lot to think about when it comes to installing a TV. So start at the basics. What do we need to know?
Yeah. So we get calls all the time of, I just want a TV installed. I want you guys to bring out an awesome Sony television, and I want to have it installed on the wall. So the first thing that we have to find out is what is going to be connected to the TV.
Okay. Now,
you do have the ability to just utilize the internal functions of the television. You know, the TVs nowadays, and I think it's very, I don't want to say inappropriate, but they refer to them as smart TVs.
Yes.
And all that means is it has built-in apps, right? It has the ability to access streaming services, Netflix and Prime Video and things like that. And that's okay. I mean, it works. But our recommendation, if somebody wants to do streaming, is to use a third-party device. Our preference is an Apple TV.
Sure, yeah.
But there's Roku and there's Fire Sticks. We feel Apple TV is a superior device. It buffers better. The operating system is better. If you use Apple devices, there's a lot of synergy. And ultimately, we recommend that because the TVs, and very quickly we're finding, slow down. They stop really performing well at acting as a streaming device, and those third-party devices hold up better. And then if you've started that as your baseline, it's easier to replace them in 2, 5, 6 years, however often you want to do it, and it's easier to change over. So we have to figure out what's connected to the TV. We then have to figure out where are those devices going to be located.
Yeah.
And the obvious option is, well, they're just going to go below the TV. Well, if the TV's on a fireplace, that's not going to work. Now, if you are just connecting an Apple TV to the television, you can just put it behind it. But if you want to have a game console connected, if you want to have a cable box, if you're going to have a surround system, those devices just can't sit on the mantle. I've seen that done. It's hilarious. But
it's got to look so messy.
Things are hanging off.
Yes.
It's terrible. I've seen fireplaces with compartments above the fireplace for components to go. And so when we consider those things, we look at, okay, well, what's it going to be like to service this, right?
Yeah.
And so if things are in a compartment to the left of the television, 6 feet up, how are you going to get to it? Are you literally going to be leaning a ladder against your fireplace? So what's going to be connected to it, where it's going to go. If this is an existing home, and let's say, for example, the components are going below the television, is this an interior or an exterior wall? If it's an exterior wall, now you have a vapor barrier to contend with when you're fishing wires up the wall. If you don't care about what the wires look like, they can just go on the outside of the wall, but who wants that, right? People aren't calling us to just have wires exposed. If you're going to be mounting the TV on the wall, is there power where the TV is going to go? And then same thing there, if there isn't power, is it on an exterior or an interior wall? If it's an exterior wall, then it's the electrician has to extend the wires up the wall. So those are the main things that we try to keep in mind when we're installing a television is what's connected to it, where the component's going to go, and then those other things like, is it an interior wall, is it an exterior wall, are we concealing wires? Those things come into play.
Do you prefer to bring the mount as well, or is it okay, like if the homeowner's like, hey, I have all the things, can you put them together and make it go? Do you have a preference?
We generally don't do that, the latter part. We're really good at taking care of, recommending, and providing a whole solution where somebody doesn't have to think about all of those things. The mount is actually one of the key elements because it's actually a liability for us. I
suppose.
You know, we pick mounts that we know are going to hold up, are going to support the television. Plus, we've installed the mounts that we use for a very long time. We've gotten good at it.
Yeah.
We're very quick. We're very efficient. And we don't do this, but if we, at one point we did, if we were presented with a scenario of somebody providing a mount, it's likely a mount we've never seen before. We don't know how it gets put together. It can take us twice as long to put together, which means it costs more. And if there was a savings to provide another mount, well, now that's gone, right? As silly as it sounds, mounting a TV is both very easy but also somewhat complicated.
Yeah.
As much as I love Sony televisions, one of our major gripes with them, and I just saw them recently at a road show. They came around to Minnesota and they were showing off all the latest and greatest televisions. And the thing that drives us, I say us because I'm not the one that actually does the installation. You don't want me installing things. It drives us crazy because what we refer to as the bolt pattern on the back of the TV where we attach the mount that ultimately attaches to the wall, that bolt pattern changes every year on every different model. So some years it's favored towards the bottom, some years it's favored towards the top, some years they measure it in millimeters, so some years it's 200 by 200, some it's 200 by 300, some 65s, it's 300 by 300, and then the next year it's 200 by 200, and it's at the bottom.
Like, leave it alone.
And the worst thing that happens is when the bolt pattern is in a place where when we attach the mount, the connectors are blocked. And so now we need to, okay, well, how many right angle adapters do we need? And can we get to the HDMI ports? And sometimes the mounts don't have the bolt patterns built in, and we have to actually drill them on the site. And it's awesome that we can attach these things to walls, but those are some of the things that we have to go through that our customers have no idea about, and they just walk into a room and it's done, and that's what we like to do because that's what we do. But just things we have to keep in mind.
Yeah, just hearing about it makes me not want to do that. Like,
Right.
just take care of it all.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yep.
What is the most unusual place you've had to mount a TV?
Oh, that's a good question. Not a lot of unusual spots, I would say. The fireplace ones always present a challenge.
Sure.
I'm trying to think. I mean, unusual. I think some of the unique ones are like when we've installed TVs in lifts that actually go into the floor.
Yeah, those are cool. Yeah.
And come out and it looks like a cabinet in the room.
Yeah.
And the cabinet is on like an outside wall and it overlooks the lake. And then when they want to use the television, it pops up out of the cabinet, which is partially recessed into the floor. And so when they want their 65 and 75 inch TV to not constantly be blocking the lake, it's hidden away out of sight. We've installed a few TVs in islands where there's a cutout in the granite.
Yeah.
And so then when they want the TV, it comes out and the granite lifts up and it's, the TV's hidden away. Those are probably some of the more unique ones. We've had some that drop down from the ceiling. We've had a few customers that have inquired about having it installed underneath the bed and actually come up and out on a mount, which can be done. But it's an expensive procedure, and I think in a couple of those instances, they just elected to have furniture at the foot of the bed and have the TV come out of the furniture.
Yeah, and if you ever want to see what that looks like, they have a really cool one in the Experience Center in the kitchen where it drops out of the cabinet. And you'd never know it's there when you're in there. You're like, oh, those are beautiful custom kitchen cabinets. And then
all of a sudden there's a TV.
Out it comes. And it's a really cool place to do that. Any other fun things we should know about basic mounting of a TV?
Not really. I'd say just be mindful of what's involved.
And leave it to the professionals. Like, don't try to cobble it all together. It's well worth it for the consultation. And like you said, you've said this a million times. Like, that's the most common thing that you guys do. You really know what you're doing with it, and it's worth it to have a professional do it and do it right. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll catch you next episode.